Man, so I'm just vibing in my room, and I kind of want to hop on a quick conversation with you, just kind of brainstorming, just kind of share some reflections that I've been making and where I am in my journey in life. And you know grab a snack, grab some fruits, grab some drinks that you want to have. And I'm just here to kind of just chop it up with you, right? So the main thing that really feeds my mind is self-improvement. Like, nothing beats self-improvement. When you're working on your fitness, when you're working on your mindset, when you're working on your life, and you are looking to improve on that. Once you are working on your relationship with God, you're looking to correct your state of well-being, anything that is benefiting you, anything that has to do with making things better physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. That's something that I applaud in a lot of men. In the society, as you can see, the society that we are living in today, a lot of men fall into temptations. And don't get me wrong, like, I used to do the same things. I used to smoke, I used to drink, I used to party, I used to go out and have fun and waste a lot of time not chasing my purpose and all that stuff, right? And I think everybody has been through that phase, right? But there are some people that they eventually turn things around. They eventually conquer those lower self moments, and they become a new version of themselves. And there's some men that never gets through that phase. They never evolve. It's almost like they get stuck into those habits, and instead of making a transformation, they even get worse. They fall deeper into that rabbit hole of just smoking and drinking and partying, and the lust and chasing all these emotions, chasing all these highs that leads nowhere, right? And I hope that if you stumbled upon this video, because when I was in my journey, when I was in my early 20s, when I was in 19, 20 years old, I was watching through these same videos like this, and I was able to stumble upon great people, great mentors that has kind of helped me lead through a change. And like, hey, do this with your fitness. Hey, do this approach. Use this perspective when it comes to your dating. Use this perspective when it comes to your work. This is the direction that you want to go to if you want to improve your life, A, B, and C. So I've been able to kind of, you don't necessarily, like, because you still have to look for it. You still have to look for the right path. Maybe you stumbled upon it, but sometimes you actively are seeking for it. And I've been grateful. Like, I'm grateful enough to know that when I was in my early 20s, right now I'm about to turn 26. I've been kind of in that phase of, like, from 18 to 21 ish. Like I was kind of swimming in those bad habits. I'm gonna take it back even further, like probably like 15. I would say 15 to 20. Like those 5 years have been a dark time in my life, and I'm very vulnerable sharing this with you, just so you know that this thing that I'm sharing to you is real. It's a real story. It's something that definitely happened in my life. And 15 to 20, man, it was just like a soul searching. But instead of soul searching myself, it was more so like escaping reality. It was more so like avoiding the truth. I didn't want to face the world. I didn't want to face the mirror. I didn't want to face what was ahead of me. So I led down the path of, drinking again, like drinking and partying and smoking and hanging out with the wrong crowd, hanging out with the wrong people, getting in trouble and things like that. And like, you have this inner voice that tells you, like, hey, you got to get right. If you're a young man that's watching this, I'm sure you can relate. Maybe you're dealing with the same thing that you're dealing with right now with that situation, right? So how do you turn things around? First, it does comes with a revelation. You wake up to, one day, hey, like, you realize that this is not serving you. You realize that this path, all that stuff that I've done from 15, 20 years old, like, you realize that, hey, you, like, you got to get right. Like, sometimes an awakening just hits you, right? An awakening just hits you, and then that's where the journey starts. And guess what? That's where the fun starts. Like, that work, that's where it begins. Like, that's where the fun starts. And it's funny because, like, I'm making this video, but at the same time I'm using this as a session to reflect on my journey. And I realized that when I woke up, and I realized that, hey, it's time to get right. It's a commitment that you make with yourself. Hey, I'm gonna get my body right. So I started hitting the gym. I was already staying, the gym was the foundation. I was already cleaning up my diet. I was learning about nutrition. I was learning about protein and carbohydrates, how many calories, what kind of macros should I be taking in. So I started working on improving my health, because I knew that if I worked on my health, if I was in a leaner state, if I was stronger, if I had better mobility, I feel like that would translate into my energy. That would translate into my confidence. That would translate into, like, my posture, how I was carrying my body. And I knew that the stronger my body was, the more healthier I was, the more that I was able to clear my mind, the more that my mental state was in a better state. I knew that I was dealing with, depression, depression and anxiety, all these things that a lot of young men go through. And this is very controversial, but I knew that dealing with depression and anxiety, yeah, like, people take medication and stuff like that, and yeah, people get diagnosed with it. But what if, this is just a thought experiment, what if you being depressed and you being anxious was a symptom of what you currently are, like, of what you currently have, your positioning in life? Who wouldn't be depressed if you were overweight? Like, who wouldn't be depressed if you were drinking and you were smoking and you were high all day? You were getting drunk all day. You're hanging out with the wrong friends. They don't have the certain type of thoughts. They don't have the certain types of empowering thoughts. And maybe they're living from a negative energy, negative thinking, right? Like, who wouldn't feel anxious and who wouldn't feel depressed hanging out and doing the wrong things? So I looked at that as a lens. Like, that was my lens into turning things around. Let me get my fitness correct. Let me get right. So I started hitting the gym. I started being more consistent. I didn't know what to do with my life. Like, at this point, like, I was still, like, I just got out of high school. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I was working in Little Caesars. I was, working on, different companies. I was doing Uber. Like I was doing all of it. Like, one of the basic labor jobs, right? I was biking, going to work. Like, I didn't know what I was doing with my life, man. I do want to share this story with you, and kind of want to share you that I've came a long way, and I've came a long way, man. And it's like, I have a long way to go, but just reflecting on this journey, and like, I've come a long way, right? So, but this is not about me. This is for you. So, you're watching this video, and I'm simply sharing my story just so you have some sort of relatability, so we're connecting and things like that, right? But, getting your fitness on point, that would be the foundation. Like, if you don't know what to do first, get your body right. Get your health on point. Clean out all the junk foods, remove all the junk foods, all the sugary drinks. Stay with clean water only. Start eating your fruits. Fruits, vegetables, hitting your macros. Just building your discipline, building your motivation, building your energy, building your strength, building your confidence. Because once I was able to build that consistency over the years of me being in the gym on a consistent basis, being disciplined, wins after wins with my fitness journey, that's when I was able to translate into other aspects of my life. So if you're looking for a path, if you're looking to, get on your purpose, and you're trying to figure out what your purpose is, self-improvement, start with self-improvement, right? So go to the gym, and clean up your nutrition, right? So go work out and clean up your diet. All right. Number two, once I kind of had a good, confidence, like once I kind of knew who I was, like I became a personal trainer. I competed in NPC classic physique bodybuilding, right? So I became a competitive bodybuilder and stuff like that. And I've been in the journey of helping a lot of men when it comes to fat loss and getting their body right, getting their discipline on point, just turning their life around with the transformation. Because the gym, the fitness is not just a physical transformation, it is a mental transformation, it is a spiritual transformation, right? So that's been a journey, because I've been able to use my life as a testament, and I've been able to help others as well turn their life around with the transformation. And I have to lead them through that process of what I was doing with my workouts, what I was doing with my nutrition, and I simply share some wisdom, share some experience, share some insight on how I could save them time from getting to their goal. From, instead of 5 years, cut it down to 1 year, for example, right? So if you, I'm gonna plug it in real quick. So if you are learning more about your fitness game and want to see if you're looking to make some transformation, right, just hit me up on Instagram at Jerome Fit. Again, everybody has the information. Everybody knows what to do when it comes to the gym. You already know how to train. You already know what kind of foods and what not to eat. But guess what? A lot of people don't stay consistent. A lot of people don't do the work. That's where the coach comes in, and that's the job that I do. We show up and hold you accountable to make sure you succeed. Nobody can hold you accountable, only yourself at the end of the day. But our job is to hold you accountable. So when you are confident enough to hold yourself accountable, then that's when you succeed. All right, so go to the gym and get your nutrition on point. Number two, I started working on, okay, so it's more so of a perspective. And this is big when it comes to young men, right? When it comes to young men, a lot of us, right? Let me get some grapes real quick. Is that when we just got out of high school, for example, right? Or maybe if you're in college, we like women, right? Like us men, you go out there, maybe you're partying, like me when I was, hanging out with, dating apps and all that stuff, right? I was chasing a lot of, pleasure. I was pleasure seeking growing up, like from that phase of 15-year-old to 20-year-old phase. I was pleasure seeking, dating apps, right? Like sex, like all these things. Like I was wasting a lot of time. Like, what if I use all of that time towards self-improvement? What if I use that time to, like, I would be way farther with my fitness goal. I would be way farther with my mindset, mental goals, with my spiritual journey, with my financial goals, with my business, for example, right? So looking back at it, like just chasing pleasure, chasing the experience. Yes, like if you're not awakened by it, cool. But since you are watching this video and you're getting the information now, I'm telling you to cut out all, like, it's not gonna serve you in the long run. Okay, cause I know where you're at right now. You want to go out there, you want to party, yeah, like you want to have fun, you want to, like trust me, like in the long run, like they ain't going nowhere. Like you need to learn how to delay gratification, right? Like, so when it comes to dating, when it comes to sex, when it comes to relationship, when it comes to women, it was more efficient for you to put all that time to improving your life, improving yourself, rather than using all the, because if you go out right now and like you see all these guys trying to use game, or everybody's trying to use these tactics, pickup lines, manipulations, like let me, flex, like all these things just to get a woman that is going to, and especially with that intention where you're coming from, that energy that you're coming from, you're gonna attract the wrong crowd. You're gonna attract the wrong type of people. You're gonna attract the wrong type of woman, right? Like you're not attracting the quality that you want, from that phase if you haven't been developed, right? So I would say that you would have to focus completely on yourself, right? Obviously, you want to keep it lighthearted, you want to keep it fun. Like, obviously, you're living in the real world, right? You're going to be meeting like humans wherever you go. You go out to your workplace, if you're in school, right? You're going to meet women, right? And a lot of these guys, like, they get married right away, right? Like, oh man, like you catch a little emotion, boom, like next thing you know you're married, right? Or next thing you know you're engaged. A lot of men, people say, lead from the heart. Yeah, like that's good and all, right? But sometimes you need to play chess, not checkers, right? Like if you're being led by your emotions, and then next thing you know it was not the best chess move. This is how men get destroyed in like divorce or marriage and stuff like that. Hey, like all these things that you hear, like all these like I know people in person that has been through divorce 2 times, 3 times, and never learned their lessons, right? All that energy, like all that mental stress that you're dealing with, like why not just use that for peace? You're developing your inner. Again, we could talk more about that, but it's simply, I'm not saying avoid the dating game. I'm saying get in the game and play it correctly. You don't want it to be, you don't want yourself to be chasing pleasure 24/7. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying get in the game, play the, like, and I'm not even saying like playing the game. I'm just using this like as a slang, right? Like playing the game, because like I don't know who's watching this, right? But I'm saying like you play the game correctly. You get in the game, which means like you are in a right state of mind. You are in a better position in life, right? Like you can lead, because eventually, like what dating is you create a family at the end of the day. Maybe you're pleasure seeking, because like I've been through that stuff myself. I've done all that stuff myself. Sex, pleasure, all that stuff, right? But eventually you get to a point where you rack up so many experience, you rack up so much wisdom, that eventually sex is no big deal. Pleasure becomes no big deal. And a lot of men, especially if they're young and they're starting out, they're so hungry, like they would stand 2 a.m. in the club, outside the club, just to get sex, like freezing cold. Like let me like use all this energy to stand in the club in a line to get in the club, freezing cold out there. Like if you could be using that same energy, let's say in human terms, like when you're out there hunting, what if you use that same energy, that tribal energy, to develop your warrior capabilities in fitness, whatever it is, right? But men that are chasing pleasure at this age, at this phase, because everybody goes through it, I go through it, but if you're watching this video and you're realizing it just now, hey, it's time to pull back, put your winter arc on and lock in. You drop all the lust, you drop all the porn. This is another thing, dropping all the porn, dropping all the masturbation, orgasm. I call it no PMO, no porn, masturbation, orgasm, right? So you develop, again, they ain't going nowhere. It's not the end of the day, it's not the end of the world when you drop all these things. There is a phase that you do this, right? And since this is YouTube, let me turn on the light real quick. Give me a second. And I appreciate that you're still staying in here and chilling, right? So, because this is a long video, like I said, so I'm just here to chill with you guys. If you're watching this, I need you to drop a comment, because I'm here with you, kind of chopping up just some ideas, right? I don't know who's gonna see this video. I don't know. Like maybe you know me in person, maybe I know you in person, but I appreciate it that you've kind of stuck long just to watch this video, right? But let's get back into it. So dropping all the PMO, no PMO, right? Dropping all the lust just for a phase, you know, as a minimum, 90 days, for example, or 120 days, whatever it is. Get to a winter arc, drop all that stuff, and lock in on your purpose. Like, focus and lock in on your mission, on your vision, right? So, which leads us to number 3. You fix your mind. You know, you clean up your mind, which means, because, like, again, like, we're smoking weed, you know, you're drinking, you know, your brain's all over the place. You don't have the sharpness, you don't have the focus, you don't have the concentration, right? You can't think straight. You know, you can't come up with a problem solving brain, right? Like, how are you going to change your life if you don't have these mental muscles? Like, you don't have these capabilities with your mind, right? So it comes down with cleaning up the mind. And maybe your practice is meditation, maybe it is prayer, but because from, again, I'm gonna use the same example. From when I was 15 to 20 years old, I had no information, no wisdom, no knowledge about, you know, how to change my life, right? So that's why you're on this video, for example, is maybe because you're seeking information. Maybe you're seeking for a knowledge that will change your mind. And what I'm doing is I'm sharing you what's helped me in my journey. And this is the beauty about, you know, like, that we have this now, is that I'm able to share this stuff with you so that other men can use it and change their life. Like that's kind of what my intention is for this video, man. It's like I'm using my life as an example so that so you can learn from my mistakes, or maybe the wins that I've had, you know, the lesson that has served me a lot and that will benefit you. And, you know, when it comes to maybe reading, studying, you know, start learn, like, okay, like getting your sleep on point, for example, right? Like you want to get because maybe you're sleeping 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours sleep, right? Like maybe you're sleeping like midnight, 1 a.m. in the morning, you know, you're scrolling through social media. So I'm going to share you what you can eliminate, right? So, you know, you scrolling through social media, you texting, you know, like conversations that really leads nowhere, you know, like all these women that you're texting, maybe on Snapchat, like delete all of these stuff. You know, if you are really in this phase of locking in, you know, like you want to get in the zone. What I've done was I was all in, like I have a lot of accounts in the dating apps, right? And I've deleted it completely. I deleted all of it. I deleted my social media apps, right? Like, you need your mind to focus. You need some focus. Like, you need to remove all the distractions, you know. So what you need to do is you want to do a mental audit. You want to do a mind audit. What are some distractions in my life? What are some things that I can eliminate completely today? You can literally pause this video and do an audit. Hey, what are some things that I need to eliminate today to get my life back on track? You want to do a thought audit. What are some things that you're currently thinking? What is your mind currently feeding off? So you want to journal. The purpose of journaling is so you're writing down. There's a lot of purpose for journaling, but specifically for this topic, you know, you want to journal a full page or maybe even 2 pages, and then look at what you wrote. Look at what you wrote. That right there is what you're like. That's what's in your brain. That's what's on your mind. So you're able to see what you're currently thinking, because sometimes we can't really look at our own mind. Can't really tell. You got to put it out there. You got to write it out, right? Like you got to write it on a paper, so you're able to analyze your own thoughts. Now, ask yourself: are these thoughts negative, or are these thoughts positive? Are these thoughts disempowering or empowering? Right? Like you could play with it. Like you could be flexible with how you want to brainstorm your thoughts. Now, your goal should be anything that has to do with your fitness goal, anything that has to do with your family goals, with your faith, you know, with your finances, getting things right. You want your mind to be filled with the correct, positive thoughts that's going to lead you to change your life, because your thoughts leads to your emotions. Your emotions leads to the actions that you take. Those actions that you take in life becomes results. The results that you have stems from your thoughts. You need to analyze your results. Do you like your results? Yes or no? Maybe there's some things that you like about your thoughts, about your results. Maybe there's some things that you don't like about your results. So whatever it is, okay, these are some things that are working in your results. These are some things that are not working in your results. So you go back and analyze your thoughts and figure out how to replace those thoughts into new thoughts. Do you understand? So you have old thoughts, aka old limiting beliefs, and you want to download new information, empowering new thoughts and beliefs. Those new informations and way of thinking will create a new result, a new life. Do you understand, right? And you go back and use that loop over and over and over until you achieve, and I'm using this principle to this day. There's a verse in the Bible. Like I forgot what it is word for word, but I'm sure you're able to find it somewhere. It's something that has to do with renewing your mind. Be completely transformed or renewed by the renewal of your mind, something of that nature. And I hope you're able to search that up and correct me on that. But something that has to do with, if you want to be transformed, if you want to be renewed, it starts with the renewal of your mind. So looking back and reflecting from our conversation so far, we're changing our body, right? We're changing our approach with relationships with women or the opposite sex. That changes our emotional content. Now we're changing our mindset. We're working on our mind. So we have limiting beliefs, negative thoughts, into empowering positive thoughts that leads to different results, aka the results that you want in your life. All right, which leads us to number 4 is faith. This is something that I'm again, like I'm simply sharing my experience. I'm not sharing from a state of me telling you what to do. You can do whatever you want. This is me sharing my journey to you and what has helped me transform, because I came from the bottom out. I've came a long way, and I've made so much transformation, and I'm so grateful. And I'm excited because I know that there's more along the path, and I know that along that path, that will become a stronger, newer version of myself, looking back at this version of myself. Which leads us to number 4, is faith. And I'm gonna end it for these 4 points so far when it comes to finding your purpose and making a transformation with your life, right? So faith. I used to, I actually just gotten working on my faith a little bit more recently than the other 3, but simply sharing my experience, sharing you the lessons that I've been learning so far, right? Is that I've been working a lot, 10, 12, 14, 16 hours non-stop, 7 days a week, right? The hustle community, the hustle grind, and all that stuff, right? And I haven't really put faith into, I'm just gonna I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm gonna use Jesus Christ. Like I don't know if you're against that. Like I don't care. Like I'm here to declare my faith publicly, that getting right with Jesus Christ has been a transformative aspect in my life. And again, this is a daily process that you got to walk with. You don't read the Bible one day and you change your entire life. This is a discipline. It's like anything else. Once you achieve the fitness goal that you want, the physique that you want, the strength that you want, you don't keep it by stopping. Like you got to keep consistent. Like you got to be consistent. So you stay at it and maintain it and even work on it and improve on it. Same thing with your faith. I was able to turn my life around, by following Jesus Christ. I've looking around for mentors, looking around for answers, and there's always like a hole. So this is actually, I'm ending this video right here with a testimonial. There's always a hole. There's like a void that happens. Like you're filling it up with pleasure. You're filling it up with work. You're filling it up with being busy all day. But there's something that I didn't have that peace. I didn't have that stillness. I didn't have that calmness, that trust in my direction, until I started tapping into the power of Jesus Christ, the name of Jesus Christ. I've been able to understand his posture, his intent, his mission. Being able to understand the story, like in the New Testament, like of the Bible. If you read the Bible, you're able to understand how he has able to heal the blind, heal the sick, right? He's been able to raise Lazarus from the dead, and again, these are all metaphors. Someone that is dead, right? I'm talking, let's say, spiritually dead. Someone that's, living the life of sin. You raise him from the dead. Like that's kind of how I'm interpreting the message, right? Healing the blind. It says like someone that cannot see. Like now he's able to see. It's almost like I used to not be able to see the sin that I'm living in. I was not able to be aware of how I'm living, the wrong things that I'm doing. And now Jesus Christ awakened me to be able to see how I'm living, to see who should I avoid, what should I not do. So you see things in a different lens. That's what it means, how I interpreted that message of Jesus Christ healing the blind. He healed people that cannot walk. There's something in the parable that in the Bible that said, get up and walk. Like how I interpreted that is a man that cannot walk. Maybe he is tired. Maybe he's weird. Maybe he is almost giving up in life. Right? He wants to quit. Right? He healed, like this guy that cannot walk, and he told him to rise and walk. Right? Or rose up and walk. Now he's walking in faith. With the faith, with the power of faith, with the power of trust. There's so many lessons in the Bible. There's so many lessons from Jesus Christ himself that I've been learning, that I've been able to implement and use in my life. When Peter was walking, try to walk on water, he saw Jesus walking on water, and he told him, Peter, come here, even though he was about to and then he fell onto the water because he didn't have the faith. Ye of little faith. Right? There's so many lessons in the Bible that you're able to implement those wisdom into your life. Abraham had to make a sacrifice. Like Abraham, he had an ultimate test. Like, you are going to sacrifice your son in order for you to become the father of many nations. He has to prove himself to God. And he does not understand what kind of what, God, why are you giving me this type of test? Have I shown you enough faith? But guess what? He was willing to sacrifice his own son for God. And right before he was going to sacrifice his son, a real sacrifice showed up in the Bible. The lamb, right? And he passed God's test. Moses, David, King David, King Solomon. There's so many wisdom that you can pick up on the Bible, and will allow you to have the information. That's what I mean by having the power of information and being able to use that to navigate with your life. Being able to correct yourself again. And this is why I mentioned faith, because in the world that we live in today, you know what's going on in the world today. I don't gotta tell you that. You're scrolling on social media, you already see what's going on, right? We need Jesus Christ more than ever. We need God more than ever. I'm gonna have this video up, right? And I don't know, maybe if I die, and what was he about? I need you to be watching this video. This is what I'm about. Everything that we've talked about, this is what my life's work has been. This is what my life has been. I've stayed very quiet, I just lock in, work on my fitness goals, sticking on my purpose, working on what I have to do to serve others, helping others, and praying to God and connecting to God that he cleanse my heart and lead me to the right path. This is what my life's been all about. So to kind of summarize this video, right? If you're looking for a path, I appreciate you for staying in with me on this video. Getting right with your fitness. Get right with your direction when it comes to your relationship with sex, love, relationship with women, all that stuff. Because then your perspective with family will be aligned once you correct all that stuff, right? If your goal is family as well. If your goal is children as well. Cleaning up your mind. Working on your mindset, your thoughts, so that translates into your work. Because you still got to work, right? We live in a economy. We live in this world of economies, something that you cannot avoid. So you still have to perform. But you also need God. You also need Jesus Christ himself. So I hope that if you are watching this video, I hope that you find the right path, you correct yourself, you lock in and get back into the right path, get back in the zone. And I need you to update me on your journey, like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this. But I appreciate you for checking in, and I hope you use those informations and attack your goals and your visions. I'll see you soon. Drop on comments down below. Let's talk, let's chat. I'll see you on the next video.